Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silver Sunday, this Sunday night on October 2nd. We are looking forward tonight. We have a special guest tonight, and he is already here. Look, he's wearing a jacket, and he's got his glasses and his big beard on, and I'm
talking about me?
I'm not talking about you.
Wait a
We're
minute.
talking about Mr. Howard Chaykin.
Oh. I would strongly recommend you all just fucking calm down right now.
And I should use that comment as a reminder that our normally PG-13 stream might not be so PG-13 today.
I mean, under most circumstances, because it's you, Roland, I would have filtered myself. But as I indicated earlier, I'm just getting over a real blast of COVID-19, so I'm unfiltered.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're getting over it. That means
well, yeah. I mean, as you can see, I'm back to my normal fun self. But only 2 days ago, I was sitting and shivering, and and wishing that I was dying.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, not fun.
Is that the first time for you to have it, or the second time?
Yes.
The first. Okay.
Although I might be infected because my wife is now coming down with it pretty hard. So. The House of Chaykin is a house of horror right now.
Well, I think it's my understanding that you've got probably about a 3-month buffer now that you've had it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yay!
I had it twice.
You did?
Yeah, I had it July of this year and then July of last year. I don't know what it is about July, but I had it July.
I think it's you, pal. Nothing to do with your mind.
Yeah, it could very well be.
Science is not like you.
No, and I just happened to notice, for those of you who weren't paying attention to any kind of news this week, we had a hurricane down here. So,
I'm stunned you're here.
Yeah.
If what 24 hours ago, I had no power. So
yeah,
I am so happy.
Can y'all see the big spot on my roof right there?
Oh no! Yeah.
Right above a bunch of comics. So I put a tarp out to protect the gold. Right. So for the because we do this on audio as well. Tommy, say hi.
Hold on.
Hey, how's it going, Tommy?
I'm good. How about you guys?
How's the power in your house?
The power, it is wonderful. Well, you know, I didn't actually stay home. I went to somebody that had power, so I got my stuff out of the fridge and went somewhere else.
Did you go to Dolly's?
I went to yes.
You go to Dolly's, yeah. They have power.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Dolly's needs an explanation. We'll do that later. I got a generator, so my generator powered. It's a small generator, so only thing it does is power my refrigerator and my freezer. So we didn't lose any food, which is which is a good thing. So Peter Glenn, say hi.
Ahoy, hoy.
How you doing, Pete?
Well, I didn't have a hurricane.
No, you didn't. No, but it's kind of coming back up your way.
We'll send you one or two.
It's a long way from me.
Pete's joining us from across the pond, so it's
Peter, where are you signing in from?
I'm from Southeast London.
You could do worse. Yeah.
It's
could do worse.
It's 1 a.m. I'm here.
Why are you awake now for this nonsense? How silly is
that? Roy Boyle, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Roy's joining us from
America.
No, he moves around up north. So many. You're in Ohio now.
I'm in Ohio. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
The foothills of the Appalachians.
You're going to be doing the same show as Mr. Chaykin here soon, right?
December.
We're going to GalaxyCon.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Mike and Sandy's shows. I really do.
There you go. Just look for the beard, Howard. Roy's beard.
That'll work, sure, of course.
It'll be December. They make little tiny Christmas lights to hang in your beard. I might have to.
And tinsel draped from your mustache.
Right. The good tinsel, the lead stuff.
I on the other hand, would be portraying an angry and wicked Old Testament Moses, creating strife and havoc wherever I go.
That's going to be my cosplay. Yeah.
It's like good cop, bad cop, and the other motherfucker.
Roberta, say hi.
Hello. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Roberta.
Hi. I am calling in from Los Angeles.
What part of LA?
in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay. What? In other words, Encino, Sherman Oaks, Van Nuys.
You're dialing it in. It's Granada Hills.
Granada Hills. Okay.
Mhm.
You're wonderful.
Camp Granada.
Mhm.
You're kind of out that same general vicinity, aren't you, Howard?
Nope. I was in the valley for many years. 20 years ago, I moved here. I'm in Ventura. This is I'm about an hour and a half north of Ventura
I
Hills.
worked in Ventura many times.
Where?
Well, I worked up at a couple different places, and Calabasas for Malibu Comics.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is awesome.
Well, I live in Ventura proper. I mean, I live. My goal is to die before the tsunami takes out my street. That's the.
Oh, very good.
Now, is that where you were living when during the Malibu days, the early 90s?
Neat.
No,
I was talking about Howard because you were closer during Malibu.
I was in
days.
Sherman Oaks.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah. And I would drive up and just generate love and joy.
That's
and then
right.
leave.
You know, I know I told you about those. I don't know if you remember. You came in and did some sessions for the editors and some of the artists there, and we have those on tape. I have them somewhere. I don't know where.
Find them.
But if I can find them, yeah. Well, Howard's already asked me.
The only good thing about any of that is that it's a record of the fact that it's true. There was a time when I was fuckable looking. It's the entire extent of it. There's no other value whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't remember how many sessions there were. I know there was.
I have no recollection of this whatsoever at all.
You don't remember it at all?
Not at all.
Wow.
There's a blur.
So you came in at least twice, and I'm thinking maybe 3 times.
No, I mean, I'm not lying here. Roland, if I did, I would tell you the truth.
No. Yeah, I know. But I'm telling you kind of what I remember because we had a big meeting room, and we had all the editors, and then we had kind of a small art department at the time, not the colorist, but the art department. And you basically took a big whiteboard at the end and started just talking about stuff we should know as editors and about making comics. Yeah.
No clue whatsoever.
Yeah. I remember.
And bear in mind, the only people who can actually confirm this are you and Tom and David,
yes,
and Ross. Those are the only ones I'm still in touch with.
Okay.
I don't see anybody else.
So you don't see any of the. You don't see. You never saw Hank when Hank was at DC for like 24 years.
I passed him like ships in the night. I was below Hank Canals' radar.
He did get up there pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about Panicha is still at Marvel? Mark Panicha.
Mark, I never think of Mark as a Malibu person. I always think of him as a guy who would pose for every Roman coin in every movie. Come on, in the profile, he looks like Cicero about to have his hands cut off and hung on the door.
Yeah. Let's run through. We got a couple comments here. Let's run through some of these real quick here. Hypertative said, subscribe, kids. It's legend time. Thank you, Hyper. Yes, please do like and subscribe to the show here. Hey, Big Dummy, putting y'all on Facebook. Thank you very much, Screw Loose. For the record there, Howard, Bobby Westwich is my father-in-law. So,
wow. And he can't even spell the word dummy, but he's calling you a dummy. That's really good.
Vic says, it's still hard to believe you got Howard Chaykin.
And they did, and with capitals, which is really kind of cool.
With capitals, that's right. James says, hi, everyone. Glad to see you here, Howard.
Always a pleasure.
Hyper says, can I credit Howard with my love for dangerous but sexy women and my choice of spouse?
No, that's Wallace Wood. That's Wallace Wood.
Hyper, this says, howdy, calculus. Let's see here. Hey, Hyper. How could Howard Chaykin be below anyone's radar, says Hyper.
Are you kidding?
That's nice.
You want a list?
And then James says, I'd love to hear anything about Malibu. So we'll probably touch on that some. Before I dive into my list of questions, you guys got anything you wanna ask Howard before I just start bombing him with questions?
I want to talk to him about the Star Wars stuff, but we can go on to the other.
Okay, well that's pretty early.
That's a great idea. That, in other words, you really want to antagonize me right out front.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really cool. I like this. You willing to sacrifice any potential good nature and good humor right out front, ready to piss away any potential good charity,
Setting
just
the tone.
literally flushing it down the toilet of history. That's fabulous.
All right, we'll skip that, and we'll go on to the Malibu stuff then. All right.
Life after Star Wars.
Turn this bridge behind you. Get off the ledge. Come on, let's see what you got, pal.
So,
And remember, this is after being sick for 5 days. Just imagine what it would have been like if I hadn't been ill.
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know the difference. I can't tell the difference.
There is none. There is none.
So Howard,
Yes, roll it.
how did you get into comics as a youngster? I know I've read about you before that you read comics as a youngster, and you actually used to like superheroes
Well,
back in the
I
day.
mean, the story it's really true. The summer of 1955, I was 4 years old. I had two cousins who were considerably older than I was, who gave me a refrigerator box half filled with comic books of all genre and everything. That their mother had decided, my aunt had decided they had to be gotten rid of because they were cleaning the house. I climbed into the box, and I can still bring on the sense memory, the smell of that paper. And I realized in that moment that A, someone made these, B, I wanted to be that someone who made them, and C, this was the central focus of my life and would be for the rest of it.
Wow.
A year later, I was reading on a 4th grade level. And it was all because of comic books, because comic books give you text, but give you pictures to parse out context.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pronounce the word invulnerable, but I knew what it meant in context. My parents, who were morons, presumed that I was some sort of genetic anomaly. And I adored comic books. I loved every kind of comic book with the exception of horror, because I'm an innately a coward and a total pussy. And I believe that blood is something that belongs inside. I loved comic books. I had no talent. I had no skills. I was extremely lazy. But I wanted to become a comic book artist by osmosis, just to become this. It was all I wanted out of life.
American dream.
And, well, in some cases. And I love superhero comic books. I love the Mort Weisinger, Jack Schiff stuff. And that went from that to Julie Schwartz's stuff. And then, of course, I became a complete Marvel junkie with Stan and Jack stuff. But by the time I became a working professional, I was getting work under false pretenses. I wasn't really good enough at the work that I was getting. But I did know that A, I wasn't good enough to do superhero comic books, and B, I didn't really care to be. So I ended up having to spend the first 10 years of my career working in stuff. I did Star Wars. I did stuff with Byron Price. I did this and that, jobs all over the place. I had no real work ethic. So I really didn't know how to commit myself to something for a year or 2 years. And it wasn't until I came back to comics with American Flag that I had demonstrated that I actually had A, point of view, B, I could write better than most writers in comic books because I'm not lazy. And C, I had a mission to basically maintain a level of craft and quality for myself that I had lacked before I went away. And that about said it.
Yeah. So what happened to, because, superheroes dominate the market still. So what happened to, why did you have that love for them initially? And then once you kind of get into them, decided,
I was 11. I was 11. You outgrow shit. Or at least I outgrow shit. You're talking about look, that same summer of 1955 was the year that the Comics Code Authority was enacted. And that Comics Code Authority infantilized the product and the audience. And it created an audience that was perfectly satisfied with occasionally well-crafted visuals in the service of narrative that was lazy junk. And I started in my 20s, I became utterly uninterested in stories about people with shit coming out of their eyes and laser beams from their fingers and stuff.
Yeah.
The golden age of comics is 12 for a reason, but the fact is we now have an AARP Verity audience that's still reading the same crap they read when they were 12.
Well, and one that
love it. Their minds are being blown. Their minds are blown. They're so good.
The nostalgia buy is strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, nostalgia is good nostalgia. It's just please.
Well, I think what was it? It was wasn't it Stan that said the basic the target audience for the Marvel Marvel books was 12 to 15, 12 to 16, something like
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now you got 65, 70-year-old men having their minds blown by, edgy gravitas, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, again, I don't care. You can love the life, you can love everything you love. I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
But it's at the exclusion of anything else. And the comic book medium has become a genre because it has become a flea on a tail that wags a dog. The success of the transliteration of the material into movies and television stuff has created a mass market audience for stuff that audience doesn't know it exists in any other iteration or form than this, the movies, the television stuff.
Right.
And for the most part, it's lazily written material for a lazy audience, an audience that demands very little, that is perfectly happy with fan service. And, if that's what it wants, that's what it wants. I made a decision that was both a conscious and one imposed upon me as well by reality, that unlike a lot of my colleagues and contemporaries, I did not attach myself to a superhero character to spend a year or 2 years building a fan base and working from that. That the result of that is that I'm an outlier in the comic book business. I'm a 50 some odd year veteran of the business who's never really had an association with anything of a commercial nature, with the exception of Star Wars.
Right.
And the reality, the result of all that is that there are perhaps maybe 30,000 people in the comic book consuming community who know that I've done anything other than Star Wars in my entire 15 years. I'm not being facetious. I'm dead serious. Yes.
Oh, it might surprise you.
I was a critical success. I mean, my work has frequently been a critical success, but it has never had any commercial footprint whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like comic books are supposed to look by the standards of expectations and assumptions made by the audience.
Right.
I've never offered fan service, and fan service is an important part of the relationship.
Well, and you do have buds that have that commercial. I mean, just folks like Walter Simonson, who's
of course, absolutely.
Yeah, you and Walter are by your accounts and his accounts are good buds. So
we've known each other for well over 50 years.
Yeah, and I
don't deny. I mean, look, I mean, for the same reason I don't deny grown men and women performing in moronic comic book shit plays to make the fuck you money they want. I don't deny anybody the right to do whatever they want to do with their skill sets. That's not a problem. I don't really mind. I mean, when Oscar Isaacs plays the Moon Knight, I mean, he is slumming, babe. I mean, honestly.
So,
but again, there's now an option and venue for people, in the same way that every British actor of any real consequence has spent their entire life trying to find a 5-year window of an American sitcom so they can get all the fuck you money they ever want. The new fuck you money venue, of course, is Marvel superhero movies.
Right.
You get in there and just you're okay, you're set. It's like when you die, your first credit listed is always a Marvel movie you did. It's like they ignore everything else you could have done. But so I mean, I don't deny anybody the opportunity to grab all the fuck you money they can.
Right.
I had the Star Wars stuff come out a year later, I would have made millions.
Yeah.
But it came out a year before the royalty system was in place. And as a result, those millions of copies of Star Wars that I wrote and drew, rather.
Wow.
I received an additional $15 a page flat rate for the entire reprint run of all that stuff.
You got to be kidding me.
Wow.
Why would I lie to you? Why would I bought it?
Wow. I guess that's probably.
On the other hand, had I made those millions, I'd probably be dead because my lifestyle at that point would have led down the road of extremely self-destructive behavior. It wouldn't have meant real estate. Let's just put it that way.
So do you ever try to? So I'm trying to imagine a conversation between you and somebody like Walt, who I also know and dearly love. Whoops, we lost. Who did we lose? Tommy.
I heard his feelings.
No, his power might have gone up. So
I hope I didn't hurt his feelings.
No, you didn't.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
He's all right.
So I'm trying to imagine conversations that you might have had with Walter at some point in time saying, hey, don't do this, come do this, don't do that.
No.
No.
No, it's none of my fucking business.
Okay.
I'm serious. I mean, this is really an important thing to note. I have no interest in what anyone else does unless it impacts on me personally.
Right.
I'm not here to tell anybody how to live their life. I loathe unsolicited advice. Someone pointed out a meme recently on the Facebook that unsolicited advice is criticism. And it's an interesting perspective. I don't entirely agree, but I have no interest in unsolicited advice. I regard it as an unfortunate byproduct of the self-help movement. I've managed to build a perfectly acceptable, happy life doing everything that I damn well please. And I've never in any way felt the right to tell anyone else how to live, work, or do anything in their lives.
Yeah.
And anyone who has the nerve to tell me, offer me advice in this regard, can suck a bag of dicks. I'm just not that interested in anyone else's control issues.
Right.
I mean, I will ask advice.
Sure.
And if someone comes to me, I will ask, do you care what I think? And if someone says, yes, I care what you think, I will tell them what I think. But otherwise, it's none of their business. Just as what other people think of me is none of my business. I recognize the fact that I'm a difficult walk in the park for enthusiasts. It's worth noting that in terms of my professional working relationships, as you well know from your experience in Malibu, I'm a profoundly professional, not easy to work with, but complex and performing delivery. I don't fuck around. When I promise you a job, you get the job when it's promised. Okay. I have no illusions about my value, nor do I have any illusions about the value of the world. It's all about the world's tallest midget. It's really what it's all about. So no, I've never ever indicated to Walter to do this, do that, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
I recommend books.
Sure.
We recommend movies. We've known each other since we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time not working at 4:00 in the morning, watching television, eating popcorn.
Yeah.
Because we were lazy as sons of bitches.
That's what all artists do at 4 a.m.
Right, exactly. Avoid work. Avoiding work as much as I possibly can. That's exactly right.
Let's see. Hyper says, Larry Hama told me that Howard was part of the recruiting team that brought him to Atlas in the 70s. Does Howard have any details on the Atlas rise and bust?
Interesting. And that's actually true. Atlas is an odd house. I mean, it existed solely as Martin Goodman's misbegotten idea of enacting personal revenge on Stan, and also to give his son a job. They had a Swank magazine, which is their Playboy, their fifth-rate Playboy stroke book version of it. And the great thing about Atlas was they paid great rates, they returned artwork, and they got rates raised across the business in every particular way. Everybody got more money from everybody else because of Atlas. When Atlas collapsed, it was fun working there until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I have good and bad memories of the experience, but everybody came away from that better people, better talent, with stronger skill sets.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did they change that then? If everybody got more money out of it, what was the change in the business?
Basically, their rates were high enough that when we went back to DC and Marvel, we said, why are they paying us over here when you're not paying us this over here? And they went for it because they went for it.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I got shit canned off the Scorpion after a fight I had. I walked across the street to Marvel. It was around the corner from Marvel. I went up, would you guys like to do a version of the Scorpion over here for Marvel? And they said yes, because I was an idiot. I basically gave away another version of that character that became Dominic Fortune. But I mean, again, I'm 25 years old at this point, 24, 22. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a kid. I mean, I'm going to be 72 this week. Okay. And
you look a day over 70.
That's 50 years ago. And New York was a hellhole, but we were all living very well. We had a great time. I barely had to work to make my rent, and it was great. I mean, I feel terrible for anybody who didn't get to live in their 20s in the New York in the 1970s. It was fantastic. It was a jungle. It was a zoo. It was insane. It was really fun.
James says, "Happy early birthday, Howard."
Thanks, pal.
And Vic says, "Tiger Man confuses me to this day."
I'm easily the fact that the Atlas stuff was for the most part utter shit. It was terrible stuff.
You can find a lot of that in the cheap boxes.
What's that?
So you can find a lot of those in the cheap boxes today still.
Oh yeah, they're just junk, But again, one of the things that has to be understood is that we were all learning how to do what we did. And this was just one more example of an educational experience.
Well, so that's I find it fascinating that you say that, because essentially you were learning to tell stories while making comics.
Yes.
And I don't want to kind of fly the flag that I promote a lot of times, but this is what I tell so many people, so many young artists who come to me and say, well, here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. And we'll go make a comic book, and just do it, make it, print something. It doesn't matter if 20 people buy it or 200 people buy it or 2,000 people buy it. You're making a comic. You make it available to somebody to buy, because somebody will support it. Your mom and dad will get a copy, right?
Look, I have a former assistant who publishes a comic book about an autistic superhero. Yeah. And I think it's just great that he writes and draws this book, pays to have it colored, pays to have it lettered, and publishes it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That he's got ambition, and he's willing to work toward that ambition. Welcome back, Thomas.
I have late hurricane blues, apparently. I don't know what did, even the whole house internet went off.
I blame the Emperor Palpatine. You never know. Never know.
That electricity.
That guy. Right.
So Hyper's got another.
I agree with you completely, wrong.
Yeah. I just think, particularly in today's day and age, it's so easy to get a comic book made today. It was probably harder back in your day, but when you had to print a big run. But now you can go print with digital printing. Why would you not make a comic book and practice, get better?
Well, the model is totally different. There's no money in it anymore. And there was an enormous seductive factor of the way the 90s looked to comic book readers at that time.
Yeah.
And the
a lot of money in the early 90s.
Well, but it wasn't real money. It was money. It was money flying in from people thinking that it was comparable to the tulip frenzy in the Netherlands in the 1600s. There was this idea that this material was going to make everybody rich. And there are warehouses all over the United States with mulch copies of million copy printings, which never sold anything. Which were being bound in strips to be used as kindling and firewood.
Yeah.
And the stuff was junk. It was really terrible.
Yes. Yeah. There's so much stuff in the early 90s. Hyper said, was there any warning Atlas was shutting down? He says, I think their longest running title was 4 issues.
Not really. It just sort of went away.
Huh. Okay. I don't know if you want to answer this one, but Vic says, who was your former assistant that was making the comic?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'd rather not say.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll tell you the name of the book. I'll promote the book right here.
All right. What's
the name of the book? Is Joe Hero.
Okay.
And Google it. You'll see what it's about.
There you go. So there you go, Vic. Joe Hero. Go look for that. So we try not to do any name calling or anything like this on this.
That's a good idea.
Yep. So I wonder if because you were kind of there. You mentioned the Star Wars stuff happened before the royalties at Marvel, but so that would have been right pre Shooter. Were you there at all when Shooter was involved with Marvel?
Well, Shooter was the reason why I left comics. We got into a big argument on.
I did not know this.
Good Friday, and over an issue about a correction, and he stood his ground, I stood my ground, and I went away for 18 months, 2 years, and came back with the American flag.
Okay, well then we won't talk about shooter. Then let's move on.
Can we
Speaking of American
talk
flag,
a little bit about how that developed? How you came up with American flag?
well, okay, how'd you come up with American flag? And then Hyper says, do you have any plans to bring back American flag?
No, because I'm not the same person I was when I was in my early 30s.
Okay.
The divided states of hysteria more reflects the way I feel about dystopia than say flag would today. Although I did a 6-page flag story for the Aid to Ukraine book, which I'm very proud of.
Okay.
Flag came out of I was in extreme debt. I'd gotten into enormous debt because of working for Byron Price. Working for Byron Price was like you lost a bet. And I did it twice. So fool me once, what a schmuck I was the second time, But I did it. I was easily seduced, and it put me into an enormous financial hole. And for reasons which I continue to not quite understand, First Comics made me a financial offer that made it possible for me to get out from under that debt and to gain a financial cushion. I know comic book fans don't like hearing about this because they think we're just about comic book loving guys, and it just flowed. But I was in the shits. I was in enormous amounts of debt, and they asked if I had anything. And what I basically did was I said I have this idea that incorporates elements of Gunsmoke, Terry and the Pirates, and After Worlds Collide. And that's basically it. I mean, Terry and the Pirates for the multiple cast, Gunsmoke for the local characters, and After Worlds Collide for dystopia. I was also at that point extremely fashion conscious. I was good looking, young, and slim, and I had a real thing for Italian fashion. I dressed like a Eurotrash pimp. And
pictures or it didn't happen.
What's that?
Pictures or it didn't happen.
Oh no, there are pictures. There are lots of pictures. They're all over the place. I had good hair. And I applied a lot of that like all that Giorgio Armani-ness, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Giorgio Armani. I threw it all in there, and I liked industrial design. I wanted to do all sorts of stuff, and it was a difficult book to do because it was not lazy. It was cleverly written. It was deeply drawn. There was a lot of work there, and I committed. I was deeply committed, and again, it got some critical attention, but it never sold worth a shit by comparison. It sold. I mean, it outsells anything being sold today. But I was selling one copy of Flag to every one of, say, 10 Watchmen's or 10 Dark Knights, because despite the transgressive nature of those books, they still looked like comic books that superhero readers would buy.
Right.
Flag had a mask and a cape, perhaps it would have been a different story, but he didn't, and that was a conscious decision.
Flag
also, the comic book audience tends to like pinup art. It likes cock teasing and coquetry. When you introduce the idea of actual desire and genuine romance and potential actual sex, the audience gets very hinky. It's very uncomfortable with this, and that's and I'm not here to make anybody comfortable.
Flag was when I first. It's funny because I had some of your work. Including the Star Wars stuff, but I didn't. It was. I had Star Wars. I didn't have Howard Chaykin. Right. It wasn't until Flag that I knew.
I mean, Flag is when I became a brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I even have Monarch Starstalker. I
noticed that's a current version of that. What the fuck was that about? We'll give him the score.
I think my wife. I probably just grabbed it off the internet. I said, "Hey, look, I have."
Everything gets grabbed off the internet, right? Of course.
I mean, I've got a copy in my box.
Blame the internet. Go ahead, Roland. It's okay. All right.
I thought about digging through the boxes back here and actually pulling out my copy to show you I've got it. But yeah, that was when I learned who you were, even though I already had some of those.
Right. No, I agree with you completely.
So did you have? So you said it was you were fully invested in it. Did you have an editor that worked with you?
Yes,
with the story?
Mike Gold.
Mike Gold. Oh, okay,
Mike was
good.
the-
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, Mike was. I mean, I'm friends with Mike to this day. And rightfully so.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's one of the good ones.
By which you mean a nice Jewish boy or a good editor?
Good editor.
Good call.
Good editor.
Good answer. Nice done. You didn't have to wait on that one, did you?
No. Yeah, there's at this point, and for me, there's a handful of, I mean, I can count them on one hand probably, but there's a couple of editors that I wish I had the opportunity to get to work with, some of those will never happen, of course.
Well, I mean, the great editors in comics.
Yeah.
In my experience, I love working with Axel.
Okay.
I loved working with Joey Cavalieri.
Right.
Lou Stathis, the late Lou Stathis, who, speaking of Black Kiss, is the guy who basically brokered the relationship between me and Bill Marks to do Black Kiss in the first place. So Lou is the guy who was he's the hidden figure, the secret figure. He's the reason why Vertigo is what it is.
Okay.
He's why heavy metal was what it was. He was the behind the scenes guy who really set the tone and format for those lines.
Now, is this the editor that you've mentioned before?
No.
Okay.
No.
I thought it was Tom Mason at one point in time, and I sent Tom Mason an email. And I said, "Hey, are you that guy?" And he goes, "That's not me."
No, the guy I'm working with today.
No. You had mentioned. I've heard you mention more than once. You've got an editor, someone, a long-term guy that you always send all your stuff to.
Oh no, that's my guy working today. His name is Tom, but not Tom Mason.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I thought it was Tom Mason. I can't.
Well, that's because you're easily confused at your age.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So of course, then that brings the question: is there more Black Kiss coming from Hyper?
Possibly.
Hyper?
Possibly. That editor we've talked about has been knocking me to do a Halloween special for about 5 years. And every time we get started on it, something else comes along. I mean, right now, I'm in the weeds of, I've just written all 6 issues of the 3rd volume of Hey Kids Comics, subtitled The Schlock of the New, which is about fandom. And I'm almost finished drawing the 1st issue of that new arc. And we're in the process of putting the finishing touches to an espionage graphic novel that I did in partnership with Mark Guggenheim. What's that?
Can you tell us that title?
I don't know what the final title is. I mean, it's a Simon Cross adventure, but we played with a number of different variations on the title. It's coming from Image in December. It's pretty hot. It looks really good.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm in the process still of writing I'm still trying to solve the problems that I created for myself in the draft of the sequel to The Divided States of Hysteria, which is called Hostile Makeover. Because frankly, I haven't annoyed enough people in the United States. I haven't alienated enough comic book fans in the first place.
Are you saying there's still 30,000 of them left you need to alienate?
I'm figuring at this point, I drop dead and, I get maybe 24 hours of good ink, and then all of a sudden the piss starts showing up on my grave.
Oh, no.
It's all right. I'll be dead. I won't give a fuck.
So Hyper asked about Black Kiss. He said, how did it come about? And then how did you choose the publisher?
About a year before I left New York City, I moved to California the day before I turned 35, October the 6th, 1985. I've lived here more than half my life now, which continues to boggle my mind because I'm a New Yorker on permanent leave. Yeah. And I live in a small beach town, which is even more fucked up than anything else. You're looking at, what the hell are you doing here? I mean, I'm walking on Madison Avenue in mid-September of 1984. I'm walking north on Madison, and I'm halfway down the block, and I see at the corner there's a woman there that I have not seen in 7 or 8 years, maybe more. A woman that I had dated in the 70s, and who was really kind of insane. You know, she'd come from a very sheltered background, and had decided that I was her access to whoopee, and she was batshit. But her idea of doing crazy stuff was not mine. I like hotels, not rocks. But at any rate, you know, I'm walking up Madison Avenue, and I get to her, and I look at her, and I realize it's not her. But rather, it's a transvestite who looks exactly like her. And I said, And I literally I had my portfolio. I reached into my portfolio and wrote a note to myself that said, "Twins connected by a penis." and held on to that note. And and 4 years later, I'm having dinner with Stathis and Bill Marks of Vortex, and we started talking about the attempt at collusion on the part of Stan Carmine to create a rating system for comics. And I had my backup. I had that self-centered bullshit going on of thinking I had the right to tell anybody how to live their lives, and which I don't, but I did at that point. And I suggested doing a book that we all said, let's do an erotic comic book. Let's do a porn comic book. And I threw that idea at them. They said, and that's where it acts. So Lou and I developed that from that one line. That's how it played out. And as to quote Harry Beecher Stowe, it just growed like Topsy.
Pete doesn't know that one over in England. Harry Beecher Stowe. Yeah, that's okay.
You're better off. You're
excused since you're on the island over there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Vic says Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor always sing praises for American flag.
Two of my favorite youngsters, those kids, those crazy kids. Every time anybody posts a picture of Ditko, I look, it's Ed Piskor at 50. I'm having dinner with Jim and Ed in about a month.
Oh, excellent.
3 weeks. The night before the Baltimore convention.
Oh, cool.
They're part of the Chaykin Haspiel posse for dinner.
Cool.
Very cool. So let's
I was introduced to them both by Dean, who was my connection to the tragically hip men in their 50s now.
Who weren't in their 50s probably when you met them.
I met Dean when he was 16. He was my
wow.
Yes.
Wow. Now he's been doing comics a long time too.
Well, Dean is one of my favorite people in the world. He's the son I never knew I deserved.
Let's talk about Malibu for a minute here, because
Sure.
James says I think one of the biggest issues when it comes to 90s comics, variant covers. I see that exact same thing happening again. So let's talk about how did you get involved with Tom and Dave and Chris Ulm and Malibu Comics and the whole Bravura?
I have no idea. I
You
had
don't
nothing
remember?
Well, no, I remember specifically. I had no idea how it happened.
Oh.
I was working. I was writing. I was a supervising producer on a television series that was shooting in Vancouver, but being written in Los Angeles. My attorney cut a deal with the company representing me. I think he represented almost everybody in the Bravura line. I mean, Gil, Grant,
Oh,
I
you're
believe,
talking about
Harris.
yeah.
And he cut deals for us that were great, phenomenal financial deals. And I think none of them panned out, but we all made a lot of money. We bankrupted you guys.
Yes, true.
Yay, we're number one. So
you guys in what's his name? Rune guy, Barry Windsor Smith.
Oh, please.
Oh no!
All I said was he bankrupted us. I didn't.
I'm sure Barry loves me as much as I love him.
Golly.
He's such a lovely person. So yeah, I mean, I was just perfectly happy. You know, I have very fond memories of flying to Philadelphia to do a presentation for it at a show.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sitting there with I think it was me, Walter, Jim, Grant was there, Gil was not, and we're all eating at IHOP for some fucking reason, and we're dressed well. And as I'm checking out of the hotel the next morning, I'm on the phone with my executive producer. Despite the fact that I just promoted this big book, this EP on the phone calls me up and says, we're in serious shit with an episode. So he dictates me bullet point notes over the phone while I'm checking out of the hotel at the front desk. I get on the flight from Philadelphia to Los Angeles, and I write an act of the series on the flight.
On the plane.
Wow.
Excellent.
I get home, and instead of getting picked up, I get picked up, and instead of being driven home, I get driven to the studio, where I hand over my disc. It was hard. Remember floppy
Right.
disk?
Yes. Oh.
And I handed a floppy disk over to them, and they translated. So, and that show, this was a Saturday. I was flying up Saturday, so Saturday night I handed it over. Sunday, the entire script was congealed. My act and everybody else on the show had written an act as well. We'd rewritten this stuff. And Monday, the show started shooting.
Wow.
Nothing like pressure.
Insane.
Man, that's living the life.
They paid me very well. I was very happy with the money. It was some of the happiest times in my life. It really was. And my wife wasn't pleased because basically I was sleeping 4 hours while in the time that I did Power and Glory for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was operating on 4 hours of sleep a night.
Wow.
I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work until 8 on Power and Glory. Go to my office at the studio, work there until 6, come home, crash for a while, do whatever rewrites had to be done for the studio. And literally I was doing 4 hours of work every day on Power and Glory while I was doing 10 hours of work on Viper.
Wow.
So, but I was young.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do that when you're young.
It's hard to
Right.
do after that.
What's
Yeah.
that?
It says hard to do after that.
Well, I don't do that anymore. I mean, to this day, I mean, I'm still working. I spend the day doing pencil. But I no longer work against time. I work on mission. This must be done today.
Oh.
And if I finish it before the end of the day is over, I'm good. I can now watch an hour of television, which I did today. As a matter of
So it's
fact.
like bite-sized deadlines.
Pardon me?
Like bite-sized deadlines.
Right. Well, I mean, right now, I mean, I do my figures and backgrounds on separate sheets and combine them in Photoshop. So my pages are all panel boarded out. What I spent the day doing today was headshots, you know, the talking heads on the pages. Tomorrow, I'll start setting up the figure work. And I've got to get some builds made. I've got to get a 1939 high school cafeteria built. And I've got to get a drop ceiling of piping and Civil War era sewer pipes and everything else hanging from a ceiling in a Civil War era
That's
high
cool.
school. You know, which is there's a. I'm right now in the process of drawing the sequence that's actually based on a true story of Gil Kane's. When Gil was in high school, he paid a woman to make he delivering stuff. He paid a woman to make a superhero mask, a hood.
Mm-hmm.
He terrorized the high school he was going to at the time, and he fell through the ceiling as he was running along the pipes that were above the drop ceiling. And he got his ass kicked. You know, and he was as tall then as he was when he died. You know, so he was this big, gawky, big-nosed, funny-looking guy. You know, at 15.
Cool.
That's what I'm drawing right now.
Oh, okay. So what is that for?
Hey Kids, Volume 3.
Hey Kids, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, the first issue is about fandom, about how every comic owes everything to fandom. The first editors were all science fiction fans.
Mm-hmm.
First artists were all fans of the work that was done by those fans, and it all feeds through. And
Well,
so if you've read the first 2 volumes, we find our our three principles as children. And one of the things that the connecting tissue of that generation was entering art contests from the WPA to make a $5 savings bond or some shit like this in the middle of the Depression.
Or paint the post office.
What's that?
Or paint the post office, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, these guys weren't good enough for that. I'm serious. I mean, look. I mean, I as I said, I live in a small town, and we have, our post office is one of the worst Depression era murals I've ever seen in my life. It's disgusting.
So, okay, I'm gonna keep asking questions unless you guys have questions. Jump in.
Well, you already answered mine because I was going to ask
Okay.
what you're working on right now.
Well, so what would so you say you work on mission. So what is your day like today? Not today, but in general, what are your days
Right.
like?
I generally speaking wake sometime between 4:30 and 6.
So you're still on East Coast time.
I've always been an early riser. Always.
Okay.
I put myself on Toronto time when I was writing the show that was shooting there and stayed. So it's still that way. But also I live in a surf town. Everybody's up as well.
I just find that funny because every time I've ever talked to you at a show, it's always been late.
It's because I stay on California time. When I'm back east, I don't change my clock. I stay on California time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a skill. Yeah.
That is a skill.
It's got. Look, I'm an old man. I know how to do this shit. Right?
Jet lag doesn't happen.
Well, no, jet lag heading west. That's the problem. Kicks my ass. I mean, when I flew home from, I was in Canada last weekend, and I flew home. I had a 4 a.m. drop off at the airport, and so by the time I got home, I just was completely just rat fucked. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
For example, I'm going to Baltimore. I'm going to fly to Baltimore. I'm doing the Baltimore show on the 25th. I fly home on the following Wednesday, and then the next morning I go back to the airport and fly to Rhode Island.
Good grief!
Because I'm an idiot.
Wow.
What a dunce! But then again, I'm willing to mistake attention for affection.
Yeah.
That's a good.
But you said that you did things like your foregrounds from your backgrounds, and then are you doing everything digitally? Is that how you're doing it now? Or
Everything is happy. I mean, I'll show you what. I mean, I can hold up some stuff if you want to see what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
This is a. Let me get that here. I hate having to figure this out.
I know.
These are the 4 principles as working in an art class. Okay, these will then be pasted up into a background. Okay. So that's how that works. And my art director describes it as color forms, and to a certain extent, it's true. It's true. I mean, I learned how to do basic design, graphic design from color forms. When we were kids, color forms in its earliest form were simply geometric shapes before they had licenses of characters and stuff. And almost everything I know about design, I learned by using color forms to follow what Andrew Loomis's creative illustration taught in terms of his uses of geometric shapes, and it served me very well. I say that design is one of my strongest skill sets, and it applies to the way I build pages and pictures. I explained to someone recently that comic books are a incredibly pointless and trivial medium that are difficult to do well.
Yeah.
And that difficulty is engaged by the fact that my job as a comic book artist, as opposed to a writer, is to create pictures with narrative value, with pictures that are innately storytelling. Someone posted on Facebook a couple of years back a series of screenshots of Alfred Hitchcock pictures with using in demonstration, deep space. And they said nobody does this anymore. I said I do it all the time. I'm a great believer in creating using foreground elements to frame and create deep space,
Right.
and to imply deep space. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm not interested in the, as I've said, the kind of comic books with
Right.
people jumping all over the place and blasting shit out of their eyes with lasers and stuff. I'm interested in the relationship of space to time,
Yeah.
the organization of space to create narrative value. And it's something I do every day, and I take it for granted. That is my job.
Right.
You know, I mean, in the sequence I've just completed, I've got a pack of teenage kids all working at drawing tables, and you know, just drawing comics in 1939. And it looks like a sweatshop because that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, did you have any kind of formal training?
No.
No.
I studied to be a radio broadcaster.
Yeah, you do kind of have a radio voice.
I do.
You do.
It's something I want to be a comic book person, but I just didn't feel I could do it, and I tried everything else. But when I went to school, I was so high I couldn't focus or concentrate on anything. I was completely drugged out. And instead of continuing with school, I just quit school and hitchhiked across the country a couple of times, and had adventures because I was, even though I was a coward, I was willing to take risks. And came back. I heard that Gil Kane's assistant had died in his sleep, and I went to see him, and he gave me a job. And I'm convinced that he hired me not for any skills or anything but that I was a nice Jewish boy that he could speak freely to. I'm quite serious.
Really?
I mean, this was long term. Up to that time, all his assistants had been, you know, white trash wasps from the South, and but here I was, and it turns out we went to the same grammar school. He went to 144, I went to 144.
Yeah.
And he was able to speak freely and frankly about his feelings because he was a guy who, you know, had a nose job, and he went from looking like an anti-Semitic wanted poster to a kind of a debonair, you know, it looked like a Charles Saxon drawing from the New Yorker. As I said recently, I had no idea. I only discovered a couple of years back that Charles Saxon had done exactly the same thing. Saxon was the archetypal, you know, like ascot wearing Oxford broadcloth shirt, blue blazer, gray flannel trousers, and that was Gil. And as soon as Gil had transformed into this Connecticut Brahmin, he became deeply committed to Yiddishkeit and deeply committed to his own Jewishness. And I was there to listen to it.
Yeah.
I was a font. I mean, I really just I ate it up. I thought it was fantastic.
And how old were you again at that age?
18 going on 18, you know. So I went to work from him. I went to work for Woody. I ghosted for Gray. A little bit of assistant work for Neil. Neil was nice enough to get me work at DC by browbeating Murray Boltinoff. Truth. And then Joe Orlando took me under his wing at DC to protect me from Carmine. Because Carmine hated me and because I was associated with Gil.
Oh.
And Carmine and Gil hated each other from the time they were children.
Wow. Okay.
You know, so I owe my life and career to those 5 guys.
Well,
my goal in life is to end up like Gil Kane, but not to end up like Wallace Wood.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I'm going to get to some of that in a minute, but I don't get the impression from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, that a Jewish faith is important to you.
Oh, I'm deeply atheistic.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Yeah,
we've had this conversation.
Yes.
You know, I respect you and your supernatural bullshit every day of the week. But the very fact of the matter is that being Jewish is not a religion, but an ethnicity.
Right.
And it's a secular sense. It's a secular sensibility, is separate and distinct from a belief in an anthropomorphic God. I'm a member of the club from which I cannot resign.
If you, I mean, as I'm sure you know, if you're not Jewish, sometimes you're not sure whether, okay, are you Jewish in name only, or are you Jewish in faith, or are you Jewish in both practice and, you know what I'm saying?
But none of your fucking business. You're pretty good, huh? I think it's away.
But the fans want to know.
This is what this
I'm a lifelong Democrat. Okay, shocks no one, I'm sure.
Right.
My mom was. I mean, I come from a family of popular fronters. Democratic socialists. There's communists in my family somewhere buried down there. I know it.
Yeah.
But my mother could not vote for Jimmy Carter in 1976 because she felt that his deeply avowed Christianity interfered with the idea of the separation of one's religion from one's public life.
Wow.
And I found that, and this is an astonishing conversation. I mean, the last intelligent conversation I had with this woman, and I understood exactly where she was coming from. I truly did.
Yeah.
And I hold Jimmy Carter responsible for introducing that discussion of religion in the public square. And I think it's done enormous damage to the country at large. The very fact that the country was going to move on after electing its first Catholic president in 1960.
Right.
When we re-enter the whole realm of this aggrieved statement of faith, no, I think we're better off when we kept our religion and our religious and secular beliefs to ourselves. None of your damn business.
Well, I was raised with that, and Tommy's probably the same. But I was kind of raised with that idea that you don't talk about politics and religion at the table.
Nope.
I mean, we talk a lot about. The fact is, at the kitchen table, at the dinner table of my family, not my parents, but my extended family,
right?
Politics is all we talked about. Because I come from a very political family.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it was a homogeneous group. There were a couple outliers who married in, but for the most part, there were people to argue about things. I mean, I got into arguments with my uncle, but it was
keeps it fun.
A free swinging. No, you're fucking wrong, but okay.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, I think the avoidance of discussing talking of politics is one of the reasons got us where we are today. But religion is an entirely different idea.
Yeah.
I think religion is a private enterprise, and we're all entitled to how we choose to deal with our own spirituality.
Yeah. Well,
I'm talking to you.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I've
You
always
go back to
enjoyed,
me.
I've always enjoyed talking to you, even back to the Malibu days. What's that?
Yeah.
Right.
I said we go back too long,
Yeah.
I got to wrap this up pretty soon because I got a sick wife upstairs who needs my attention.
Okay. Well, you bail at any time. The one kind of question I wanted to ask you.
Here's the last big question.
What's that?
The last big question.
Well, they've got a whole stream of them like this, but as part, if you were to say that, because one of the things you talked about, the whole idea of spatial stuff, and the first thing that came to mind for me was the whole Wally Wood 22 panels thing, right? If you were to say that there's kind of one thing wrong with what one thing do comic artists today kind of get wrong, what would you say?
I'd rather give a list.
You'd rather give a list. Okay.
Just the one thing.
Do you have one?
Here.
Okay.
How about a small list? A small list.
Top
lack
three,
of
top five?
establishing shots. Sorry?
Say again. A lack of what?
Lack of establishing shots, a lack of understanding that a horizontal space lends itself really well to setting up. You're letting the reader know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
A lack of understanding of the use of foreground elements to create space and deep space.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, secondarily, the understanding that space in comic books is a visual representation of time, that the amount of space allotted to an image is directly related to the amount of time involved in the action taking place in that image. That is an imperative to understand the relationship of size from panel to panel. That if you make them all different sizes, it looks arbitrary, and that arbitrariness tells something to your reader. If they're all the same size, you are neutralizing the reader's perspective on that material. And finally, this is only one of many, but here's the last one to close this day. A subjective relationship between a shot, a headshot, and the reader to remind the reader that he is one of the 6 people involved in the comic book. 6 people are editor, a writer, an artist, a letterer, a colorist, and the reader. The reader needs to be engaged, and and I'm not talking about that Deadpool fourth wall bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm talking quite literally about the idea of a subjective relationship between a character in a comic book with the reader, reminding the reader that the comic book knows the reader is there.
Mm.
Reader is the engine that turns the page.
Oh yeah.
You have to collude and you have to corrupt and compromise with the reader.
Yeah.
This is really important.
Very cool. Very cool. Hyper, I see your other question, but I'm gonna skip it this time. I'm sorry. Because I'm going to repeat this. He says, I hope Howard will return when his wife is feeling better. He's a legend, and I learning from his stories. You come back and talk to us sometime down the road, Howard?
Roland, I'd love to. I'm glad that I was able to do well enough to show up for this one. Seriously. I had the shit. I was sick as a dog this week.
I'm glad
she's
feeling better.
in the beginning of it today. So basically, I could be reinfected all over again by tomorrow. Hey. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm most grateful.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Howard.
Good seeing you.
Thank you so much.
And I'll see some of you guys on the road as we meet again on campus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right.
See you
Set an
tomorrow.
example.
I'll holler at
I'm
you.
out of here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Howard.
See ya.
Well, that was fun.
Amazing. He is a
Hyper, I
character.
did see your question, Hyper, and I'm sorry I didn't get to it because I see that it's a war comic question, and I know how important that is to you. But he said he'd come back, so yeah, hopefully we'll get him back because I want to talk to him a little bit more about some of those things. He talked about establishing shots and
in the horizontal frame. That's
that's interesting.
a good point.
And maybe Pete can chime in on this, but one of the things that Pete you don't have a shortage of establishing shots in.
So I'm replacing Howard Chaykin. Okay, this is nice. yeah. I'm glad.
Well, the thing about it is, I agree with.
Have a few F-bombs and then we're good to go.
I do apologize. I knew that was coming, and I didn't get the chance to warn. I didn't get the chance to warn the listeners before he started dropping.
I didn't know we were allowed to swear on this show.
I was fixing to go. Wait a minute! What? I've been holding back all this time.
No. We're gonna have to put a special label on this one for you.
Yeah, maybe.
Explicit content. Yeah.
That black and white explicit tag on the CDs.
Yeah. But one of the things he mentioned was the lack of establishing shots, and I have this same issue. I read a lot of modern comics, and I'm like, I have no idea where we are.
Throw you into it.
And I'm not sure. Here's my thing. You guys chime in. I'm not sure.
They know they're supposed to do that.
Hyper says Peter needs to cuss more to fill that square.
That's right. I'm gonna let y'all know. Peter, while he was visiting, he cussed very little. So Peter's not a cussing kind of fellow, unless he was just being nice.
Mama said no.
Mama said no.
No more, none of that.
Got to watch the language around the little one now, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So here's
you say that, but when I change that nappy and she goes wee wee again.
Oh, baby. How do you pee so much?
Yeah.
Stop. No, Mama says give her a bottle. No, I'm not going to give her any more liquids. So my question about these establishing shots, though, is that here's my question: is do you guys think this is more the fault of artists or is it the fault of writers?
It's never the artist's fault.
I think it's
the writer's fault.
I'm planting my flag right here.
Because they're not the first.
It's with the writer, but I think it's really the fault of the editor.
Yeah, we'll go with that editor.
Yeah, because the editor should have said, wait. You left something out right here.
Yep. Is there a checklist of things that need for each page?
Yeah. Well, maybe not every page, but at least the beginning of a new scene, kind of a thing. Yeah, where you can't.
I agree.
Overall.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes you're getting into it and you're going and you just kind of forget and you're just going at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I sort of figure I need to show. If we change location, I need to show that I know I need to show where that is.
Right.
So even if it's not written in, I think you do write it in, but other writers may not.
Yeah.
I'll put a little panel in at the top. Here you go. Here we are.
Yeah. And writing, you get in the zone, and you just you have a flow of ideas that you have to get down.
Yeah.
And
You
you're
go,
like, I'll go back and fix
that's what I was talking about. It's the same story. Come on, he knows what's going on. He can.
Yeah.
Well, and see, I see enough script, as you might imagine. I see enough scripts that I tend to think a lot of that falls to the writer, because if the writer, because a lot of artists are like, well, you know what, I'm going to draw what the writer has written, and it's particularly if you're writing a full script. Right now, one of the ways we're doing, Silverline Team Up is the Marvel style, which I say, hey Pete, here's what's happening, and then Pete is the director there,
and I ignore it and do my own thing.
which is actually really true. There's a couple scenes in Trump's. I'm like, now what's going on here? I'm not really sure what this is, and I go back and read my plot. I'm like,
that's not in
what
there.
Is that? I don't. It's like,
it looks cooler. It's cool if I don't draw anyone on this.
I didn't get to ask Howard about fire engines though.
Yeah, I'm sure he's fine with those.
Okay, Hyper says thank you all. Oh, thank you for being great. He said this quite all right. I'm thankful to get so many questions answered. He's such a legend to me. Well, you heard him, Hyper. He said he'd come back, so I am going to ask him back. Is if you want to talk to Howard, you have to accept Howard has a colorful vocabulary. You absolutely do. And in fact, it's funny because I told Rory when we saw Howard was going to be at
Pittsburgh.
At Pittsburgh, one of the, and I'm not going to say here, but one of the ways that Howard greets me most of the times when he sees me, right? He's F you, Roland. That's just the way he greets me. Now, back in the early '90s, when I first heard it, I was kind of insulted. I was like, "What? Wait, what did I do?" But I grew to learn that that's just his way of greeting me. I don't know if
affectionate.
Yeah, it's his affectionate way of greeting this waspy Southerner, right?
Comfortability. Yeah, it's affection.
Well, the other thing is that when he doesn't like you.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
He doesn't.
Absolutely
He doesn't look like someone that holds it back.
No.
No, if he doesn't like you, he probably treats you super nice.
Yes. And then you're like, oh, it's my
Very
God.
cordial, very classy, charming.
No. But it is funny because when I saw him a few years ago in Nashville, I told my daughter, I said, now, I haven't seen him in a year, so I was 99% sure he would remember me, but I said he might not, and I said, but he swears a lot. So the first words out of his, he comes walking up, he goes, F you, Roland, and who is this? So I introduced him to my daughter, and he just fell in love with her, of course, and I think I showed you guys, he made a video for her from Pittsburgh, which she just
cool.
Yeah, it was very, very, very nice of him. Hyper said, Peter is a dad. You don't want them repeating things. Kids will rat you out.
Very much.
I still rat out my dad.
She's
Dad made us
she's a
go
long
get
way
ice
from
cream.
talking yet. We were
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Oh, but so maybe we should get a Silverline pool. Is she going to say mama or daddy first?
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
I say, talking about it, Pete?
Should probably
say
say
we should
Drax
put it-
first.
Drax.
The dog.
The puppy.
The dog, yeah. She'll say
I
mum.
wouldn't have brought up the Star Wars thing if I knew how much he hated it.
You know what? To be honest with you, I didn't know that either. Or I'd have warned you. Yeah,
I wanted to know what it was like because how much I love Star Wars. It's like, okay, I'm going to turn my internet off. Apparently,
yeah. Well, that is funny because when you left, he goes, "Oh no, did I hurt his feelings?"
I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was not. I wasn't aware of that either. I just assumed that it was something he did. I wasn't aware that there was any kind of bad feelings about it. I don't know what it is. I have to read and see if I can't figure that out. Thick says back in the 90s there were, and I quote, establishing shots, but they were always just outside of generic buildings that established nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I greet people similarly. Yeah, I think you got to establish. So I don't know about the 90s because I don't remember those comics as well, but I do remember like in the 80s, I specifically remember a couple of things, right? So Avengers Mansion, the X-Men Mansion, the Baxter Building, and the Daily Bugle, right? These are things that you see, and you know where you are. You know, it doesn't have to be a big elaborate shot. But I'm also a fan, and Tommy, Barry and I talk about this. I'm also a fan of I can't stand an empty establishing shot, because as Vic says, it accomplishes nothing. And I kind of think if you're going to give me an establishing shot of a building, start the dialogue, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A balloon that just points to one of the windows in the building and start the conversation there. Get it moving. It's the kind of the same thing as a voiceover would be in a TV show or film, right? So yeah, I think an establishing shot with nothing in it is
Brave.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would use that.
Brave.
Brave. I would use that like building scape with a bubble pointing to like a certain floor.
Yeah.
I could make that a character in and of itself, because you're like the 7th floor. This is what goes on the 7th floor. And then like issues later, we have to go to the 4th floor. What happens down there? No one knows.
Oh no, I'm just reading his private chats here. He didn't like the theme music, did he?
No.
The startup music.
It's too busy for him. Huh?
Hyper said Star Wars stuff. He says I think he touched on it in another YouTube show with Dan Panosian, Drink and Draw, maybe. So
I thought I heard something like that.
I have to look that up. So and Vic says, yeah, I knew he hated it, so I didn't ask about it. So, well, I'm sorry, Tommy. Had I known, I would have.
You didn't have to ask about it, because I stuck my foot in my mouth right there in the first sentence there.
Vic says, will there ever be a Charlton Bullseye Marvel Comics Presents style book at Silverline? Well,
What?
Here we go.
Yeah, can
Here's
you
the
say
question.
it again?
And can you make what does that mean?
What was that?
What's the Marvel Comics Presents?
Well, so
I know what Marvel Comics Presents is.
yeah.
But how would it work for us?
Well, hold on.
No.
Hold it up, Pete. Yeah.
No, I've got Tales of Suspense. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, don't. I see something over your shoulder. Hold that up.
Mm-hmm.
It has your art on it.
There's so much.
The team up book, right?
Yeah, that right. Yeah.
That is a present, basically.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess it
Silverline
is.
team up.
And this one's got the foil cover.
Oh, you got
yeah,
that
that's right.
foil.
Ooh.
Fancy.
So yeah, Vic, there you go.
I think we should do interior pages of this.
Every one of them.
No, but
Every
the
single
last
one.
page would be really cool.
No, what we need to do is we need to figure out how to get them to flash like Roberta did for that.
Wasn't that cool?
That
Oh,
was
yeah,
so
we'll go.
cool.
Yeah.
I can
Neon
keep
sign.
telling Tommy, how can you print this?
And then I go, we can't.
Right.
Digital, sorry. Oh, I know.
We'll put some lights on it or something.
Do one of those that you turn. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that would work. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you print one of
The
those? Tommy?
holographic.
Yeah, if we can figure it out. I don't even know how that works. That's special paper and everything. So we could, we could get to figure out how to make that work. Jeremy.
Yeah.
Since he likes to come up with the weird 3D stuff and all that kind of stuff. Let's just put Jeremy on it. He can figure it out.
So, did you guys remember watching that in Malibu, the holographic cover?
Oh yeah.
And they would have their sculpt, and they would take
they had
pictures
the
of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were really cool.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, and there's some Ultraverse fans who actually own those sculptures now.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how in the world they found them. Hyper says I don't remember there being a foil. What?
Well, is it available?
I thought Hyper had one. Hyper, drop me a line. I don't know I don't think I've got any more of the. I'll have to look. I don't think I have any more of the Silverline team ups. There were only 10 of those done.
What's that? The foils?
Yeah.
I think I've got 9 of them.
I have one.
Yeah. Yes.
And Pete's got them all. Yeah,
Pete's got them all.
Yeah.
I will have to check though.
We should figure out how we can print foil on demand for people when we
On
decide
demand.
it's a good
Oh,
idea.
man.
Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, that is something we can do.
Yeah.
It's on
But
demand as
then-
long as you buy 100 of them.
Well, the only thing about the foil on demand, though, then it reduces the collectability rarity of them, and that's the whole sort of point behind some of those foils, right?
Yeah.
Just make them
Good
outrageously expensive.
Yeah, Vic says Hyper Potato wants foil. I feel as if there's a joke there. Ha ha ha! Potato wants foil.
Potato. We're so silly we didn't even get it.
Yeah. And then he said, Vic says the Marvel Presents was an anthology type of thing. So I can't see us ever doing an anthology, Vic, for the simple reasons of anthologies have just never made any money at all.
We did that too already. We did the Christmas book.
We did a Christmas book, and I still to this day I don't understand how we didn't get more backers for that.
I know.
That was so cool.
It was so cool, and
Now that you're doing the next year. You're doing the Halloween one, so it'll
that's
be.
on Scott.
No, that's you.
No, that's on Scott.
He said, "Tell Rowan he's
That's
doing it."
next year.
That's next year. That's
Because I
not
was
this
sitting
year.
there thinking,
No.
we're leaving it very
No,
late.
that's in a couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah, get it
haven't
in now.
started anything. No one's told me what to do. I'm having the time now.
No. That's next year.
No,
Hyper
right.
says, "Wrap my tater in foil and bake me." Yeah, that just so you know, you folks are asking me about these this Halloween one. That's on Scott. So if you want that, you got to yell at Scott and make that happen.
I'm good at yelling at Scott.
Have
Good.
fun.
If you want it, yeah. I told him that.
Yell at him every
Man,
day.
that was so much work to do on that. We lost Tommy. Tommy lost his internet again.
No.
Lost. There he is.
I don't know. I have not. Things are just settling a little bit at a time. So I'm glad I was.
Because you've got all that water now everywhere, do you have
Yes.
like crocodiles just swimming around your back garden?
This is
Yeah,
true.
good
Yeah.
question.
This is
Yeah.
absolutely true. They're everywhere. Did you Tommy? Did you see the news about Gatorland?
No, what happened?
Don't
Gatorland.
go.
Gatorland. No. Gatorland
Oh,
flooded,
no.
and
Oh,
all the
no.
gators escaped.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not the first time.
Just go to land.
Not the first time.
that sounds
I
like
did
a
not know that.
conceptually bad idea. Anyway,
Yeah. It's also
Sounds like-
burned down a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
didn't know
it's
that.
done that for sure. Yeah.
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 When I was in Jacksonville, we get a heavy rain and the streets would flood. In all the water reservoirs, you see gators like crossing the road to go visit their buddies in the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Vic says really happy everyone's okay in the end situation. Actually, we've got we do have one, Vic, so you keep one of them in one of us in your thoughts and prayers. Is it's Jose. It's his business, so I'm not going to tell too much about it, but last we heard from them, they're still without power. So
And they were a little more on the Gulf side.
I was going to say, is he in
They
Tampa?
were.
Yeah.
No, he was down in
Oh,
Fort Myers.
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
He was right in it.
Here's the one.
So yeah, we and I think we got lucky, Tommy. You know, as it got
We
up closer
did.
to us, it shifted east.
It stayed south, and then within the first half of the distance of Florida, it went from a Cat 4 to basically a tropical storm. So
Right.
we really lucked out
Yep,
by the time it got this far.
it dropped and it shifted. So we got really lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just for everybody out there on the internet. I was there sleeping, and my wife and I are like, we're going to bed, and then all of a sudden the dog starts barking, and we're like, what's going on, Gabby? And Gabby's like, Tommy, the fan turned off. And I'm like, and I sit up and I'm like, what's wrong? And I noticed that the nightlight in the hallway is out. And I'm like, I'm going to be Mr. Howard there. I'm going to be like, I was like, damn it. I thought I made it through. And it's like, yeah, power went out until after. Yeah, anyway.
Well, you know what's funny is that it's not funny, but what's odd, I think, is that so much of a lot of this lost power came well after the hurricane actually passed through. That's because it dumped so much rain.
Yeah.
Water.
I mean,
The pictures
I
of
don't know if y'all
Tampa
seen
Bay empty.
emptied. Yeah.
It's just-
Well,
feet of
and
water.
I don't know if you saw it, but it came back lower. So that hurricane yanked water
A lot of
out of
it.
the Gulf. It says, okay, you can have it back, but I'm keeping this and I'm just going to dump it on. And so all this water now has to drain off and,
Yep.
and get back into the system. So
No, down there it'll evaporate first.
yeah, I mean, listen, I've
How
been
hot
in this
is it?
house here for 8 years, and my backyard never ever had standing. There was I was ankle deep or a little bit higher than ankle deep water in my backyard,
Mm.
standing water.
Wow.
Yeah, it was yeah, and we're elevated, right? We're kind of elevated.
Yeah,
So
you're
we're
not on
like,
the coast.
oh man, it was yeah, so much water, y'all.
So much fun.
And then it got chilly. Pete, Renee wanted me to tell you. So what it was close to 100 degrees when you were here a couple of weeks ago? Yeah, it was down in the 70s.
Yeah, it felt nice.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it felt nice. I tell you,
So it's going to
funny.
get back in the
Oh.
90s here this week. So it's not going to
So,
it's not
so
going to stick around.
Brett's girlfriend has a kayak, has a hole in it.
Oh, well,
Well,
that's handy.
Well. So after the hurricane passed through, guess what she's been working on last couple of days?
Repairing it.
Patching the hole.
Yeah.
A little late.
Right.
though.
You're
Yeah.
a little like you've literally missed the boat.
Well, you do. We are in Florida. We'll get another one.
It'll get another one.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I
sooner or
hope you don't
later.
have another one soon.
Oh,
I
hope
do
it's
miss
not soon,
hurricanes.
yeah.
Ugh.
You know, it's that meme that kept popping. At least we saw it. Everybody from Florida saw it. It's. I mean, we hate the destruction, of course. You know, get past that part. It's just the power going out, and then you're just sitting around going, "Oh." I was telling Roland and I were talking about it a day or two ago. It's like, you know, if this power doesn't come on anytime soon, Roland was like, "You can go to Disney or whatever," because they had power. And
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to Mississippi or whatever. Renee's parents have power. I'm going to go there and hang out for a week until the power comes back on because
No.
I just can't stand this power.
So here's Tommy. Here's a closer version of Tommy's words than that. He says, if I don't get my power soon, I'm driving 13 hours back to Mississippi before I camp out.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not camping out because most of everybody just leaves the power off and you know they try to stay cool and stuff. Like, no, I'm going to where there's electricity. I don't care if I have to pay $200 a day to stay in a resort somewhere. I'm not
I'm
staying in this
camping out.
house. I am not camping out.
Toughen up, Buttercup.
No. Nope. No, I'll go with the debt and I'll go to a hotel somewhere. I'll be knocking at Pete's door to be, hey Pete, can I let me in, buddy? It's
We don't do trick or treaters, sorry.
No, okay.
We don't.
I got to bring you back here. I got to bring you back your stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a nice smelling.
Wait.
Well,
Wait. Did you say that was hair gel?
No, yeah.
Shower gel.
Yeah. I style my body hair. No,
Yes, all of it.
I just got what you said. It took me a second. Ted Baker of London. This is some good stuff, man. This is from London. Look at
you
this.
know it's a
You
Baker,
know,
it's a Baker, though. Oh, clearly.
no, is it like Tom Baker? Is it Doctor Who shampoo?
I would wear that.
You know, Baker Street, is that Sherlock Holmes?
Ted Baker's designer.
No
Baker.
power is miserable, especially in the South. You're
I mean,
absolutely right.
It does say hair and body wash.
Yeah, I use it more for
Okay.
the body wash.
I thought I heard you say hair wash or shampoo or something like that, and it just hit me. Wait. Pete said shampoo.
When I'm missing Pete, I'll just open it up and go, Oh, Pete, I miss you so much.
Yeah.
No, I like that show, Joe. I have to go and get some more. It's quite
Nope.
expensive.
This is it. You got to come back here to get it.
Yeah. Just don't give it to me to shipping books.
Oh, that's true.
Hyper said,
I'll
after
ship it
Mike,
back
we
here.
had no power for a week. Wow. I often sit in the car to listen to the radio and have AC. Yeah.
No,
Mike
I'm
was
going to a
bad, too.
hotel somewhere.
Pops says, "Hey, yo, what's up, Pops?"
What's up?
And we also, I
Yeah.
missed Oven. Where's Oven? Oven, where'd you go here, Oven? Oven said hi. Hello, Silverline family. What's up, Oven?
Hello, Mr.
Hey.
Oven.
Sorry, I didn't
Oh,
get you
look at that
earlier. We
picture.
were-
Oh, that was good.
yeah, yes, we were busy with Howard at the moment, so I didn't want you to think that I forgot you there. So, well, my clock reads 9:30. Anything else, you guys? Got anything to say? Anything to add?
Oh,
Good to see Howard again.
Yeah. Well, so if y'all are still listening, next week, y'all know who we have next week?
Mm-mm. Who we have
Marv
next
Wolfman.
week?
oh,
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, Mr.
Nice.
Teen Titan himself. So
okay. We got to look up what not to ask him because I don't want to get in trouble again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want him killing your internet again.
No,
Yeah. What not to ask Marv
Plug.
Wolfman.
that's right.
Well, I know I told y'all the story of approaching him at San Diego and asking him if I could reuse the introduction for Demon's Tales that he wrote, and he didn't remember
What?
doing it.
What book?
He's like, "Wait, did I write that?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't remember doing it."
ahead.
I'm like, "Can I reuse it?" And he looked at it and he goes, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
Cool, you can
Because
use
my
it
name at the
again."
bottom sounds like something I said before.
And Vic says, "Marv Wolfman." That's right. Got Marv Wolfman next week. So, so yeah, y'all bring your questions. Hyper, if you're still there, bring your questions for Marv. We'll get you on. I'll probably just do like a start off like I did here, ask him how he. Marv's got some really great stories about Jack Kirby. Marv and Lynn Ween. I've heard Marv talk about he and Lynn Ween used to go hang out at Jack Kirby's house as kids
Wow.
and sit in the floor and watch Jack Kirby draw and talk to him.
Cool.
I know how cool is that? Yeah, Mr.
Mhm.
Tomb of
That just
Dracula.
means-
That's right.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to next week as well. And Marv was one of those bravura guys who used to come into the Malibu offices when we were doing the bravura books that Howard talked about, Power and Glory. So, yeah, Vic says Kirby stories are always fun. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
No. Anybody else? Roberta, good to see you again. Missed
Thank
you the last
you.
couple weeks.
I know. Nice to be back.
Good to
Good.
see you.
It's been
Rory, good to see
Yeah.
your beard.
Yep.
What's left of it after a little bit of a fire incident earlier today?
Oh no.
Yeah, I got
Hold it up. We
singed
can't
right
see.
there.
how much did you
Yeah.
lose? It looks
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I had to like trim down and just cut off a little bit here. My eyelashes are burned on my right side,
Oh, dang.
so I can smell burning hair all the time. It's great. It's lovely.
It's in your nose now.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Tommy, what I said, just like a Yankee to try burning brush pile in a high wind day.
I don't know how to burn stuff. Let's just burn it all. We'll see what
Just
happens.
burn it, just set it all on fire.
It's blowing 20 miles an hour. Let's burn. What?
They were only gusts. It wasn't like sustained winds. It was-
Hurricane.
Pete, how is how's Silverline Team Up coming along?
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, you dropped 4 new pages up?
No, I've put the roughs on because I
No.
wrote them once to see what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Yeah, I was gonna
Uh,
go look and
So
see. I
I'm
just
just
saw you
turning
move
them into
stuff around.
pencils now.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Hey, did you see the colors for Trump's 4? There's like 7 or 8 color pages.
No one sends me nothing.
They're in the photo. Does he not have access to the photo?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
No,
so many.
no,
So I
I
have so
get
many
nothing.
drop boxes.
I
don't
just
know.
the book just lands on my through my door one day.
you don't?
Oh,
yeah.
look
Tommy,
at that.
Tommy, read his hat.
It's done. No, I'd like to see some colours. That'd be
It's
nice.
just a penciler.
I just pencil it. I don't need to have that.
James Davis says, "Thanks for the chat, everyone. Looking forward to more of these. Thanks for hanging out with us, James. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it." All right, Pete.
Wait,
Tell folks
wait.
where they can find you on the interwebs.
The Google. Just type my name. Actually,
It's
no,
easy now.
You're that
my
famous.
website. So, no, just Google Instagram.
Peter Clinton art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not just Peter Clinton, but Peter Clinton
ART.
art.
Yeah.
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 All right. Rory, what about you? You cannot be found on the internet.
I cannot be found. I am unfindable, but you could find a brand, Esteemed Patriots, on the Instagram and the Facebook.
He's on the Insta.
You guys should have some big news real soon.
Real soon.
Oh,
Cool.
We're
Very cool.
pulling away.
I'm doing a thing for that.
Oh, really?
I've been asked to. Right on the
That's
others?
Almost ironic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be doing that.
Almost ironic.
Yeah. I did tell them, and I said, yeah, Pete's about to finish up the Silverline team up, so it should be
I'm
fun.
very busy. Yeah, I'll do it. Obviously.
it's in there. Put it in the
I've
list.
got the
of
pages here. You can
roster.
see the pages here. It's pencil. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. I can see him. I can see him from here.
Right?
Mhm.
Has
Tommy,
has the ink started on them?
I'm finishing Trumps. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think I can get two. I still got two penciled page or two paper pages, and I think 4 inked pages. I'm almost done with it now. I'll try to finish this one up tonight. I'm almost done with this. Another page 17. I'm getting close.
All right.
Mhm.
Tommy, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
And just in the right behind Mr. Peter in the Googles, Flormonte, FLORIMONTE. It's easy enough. You should find me. I'm everywhere. And here on Sundays. Unless my internet's out and I heard another hurricane blows through and Chaykin yells at me and that kind of thing.
And you can find me on the interwebs as Man Roller Man on all the appropriate socials. Just look for me. And of course, you can find me here on Sunday nights. Shout outs to our sponsors. They were on the roll but I didn't get to them because Howard Chaykin dove us right in. So shout out to Daytona Beach Comic Con, to Orlando Collector Deviants. A big shout out to Coliseum of Comics and to Kablam. If you are pinching your pennies, our next Kickstarter is going to start November 3rd. We'll run November 3rd to the 20th. I am 99% sure what 2 books are. I'm not sure what the other 2 or 3 might be yet. So hold on to your pennies. And until next time, remember to Silverline. Good night, everyone.
Hey, I'm Pat Broderick. Make mine Silverline.